Hi everyone, I'm Ryan with Marine Parts Source, and today I have with me Jordan Hall from the Inverter Service Center. Jordan, appreciate you being with me today. Why don't you tell everybody what the Inverter Service Center does?
Inverter Service Center is actually an authorized service center for Magnums, Antrex, Victron, and several other manufacturers. So we repair a bunch of inverters in-house. We also do system design and installation on complex electrical systems in boats and RVs and trailers and all different kinds of applications.
Basically, any type of mobile system, you guys can help with the design and installation of
That's
those,
right.
right? That's great. So today in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the basics of wiring on your boat, and Jordan is the expert to help us with that. But before we get started, I want to just offer a serious disclaimer. When you're working on your electrical system on your boat, to please proceed with extreme caution. When you're dealing with 120 volt or 240 volt, those can produce some really damaging and in some cases deadly electrical shocks. So if you're not comfortable with this and you're not knowledgeable with it, we suggest that you refer to an experienced marine electrical mechanic, particularly one who is ABYC certified. And in fact, Jordan here is ABYC electrical certified, so he is the perfect person to consult with and talk to about your wiring on your boat. So let's get started. And if I'm someone who is looking at my boat's wiring and electrical system, what's kind of one of the overview main things that I need to know about when I look at this system?
Big thing to pay attention to is one thing is the wire, the quality of the wire that you want to use. You definitely want to use something that's going to be oil and gas resistant. Something that's also going to be tin coated. It's going to be resistant to any corrosions or anything like that, which is obviously something that's going to incur on boats. Something that's not going to be tin coated like this, or not going to be UV and oil gas resistant, like this wire right here. Say, for instance, if it was sitting down in the bilge of a boat, it was sitting in some water or some oil, it could very well just leach the water right through this cable and then build up resistance. You go to cut the cable open and it's all corroded inside, even though it looks just fine on the outside.
Is that something you guys see fairly frequently when you're looking at boats? Is
Yeah,
that
and
like
even with
poor
RVs,
wiring?
honestly, it happens with RVs too. We'll cut those cables open; they're just corroded all up inside. So
Right.
it's definitely it makes a difference on the quality of the wire you use.
A lot of people may make the mistake of using wiring that is sold for household applications,
Right.
and they're using it in an RV or in a boat. It really shouldn't be used
Yeah,
there.
Romex is a huge no-no inside of a boat or an RV.
Okay.
Anything moving like that does not need a solid copper wire like that.
Okay. Well, in addition to the wiring, another big piece of this system are the fuses as well, right?
Yeah,
So what's something you need to know about those?
Yeah, again, don't skimp on quality of that. You can buy cheap fuse holders like this. They're a reason they're cheap. They're not meant to be used in an application like that. You definitely want to use something that's high quality like this one right here. This actually is going to have a huge surface area contact for the cable to be connected to. Plenty of conductance right there. These right here, you can obviously see, I can't even see where the wire can be attached to it. So it's going to have problems. We take them off all the time. They're melted inside. It's
Right.
not meant for that application.
Right. So that type of quality is going to create a lot of problems.
That's
So
right.
it's better to spend the extra money and get the high quality stuff that's meant for the marine application or the RV application.
That's right.
So in addition to knowing some general facts about the wires and the fuses, let's talk about how these two work together. What's the relationship between the fuses and the wires?
Yeah, obviously the fuse is there to protect the application, the inverter, the charger, the thruster, whatever it happens to be. But its also main purpose is going to be protecting the wire itself. So making sure that you appropriately size the fuse to protect the wire. The wire is sized according to the load. So that kind of thing is obviously a huge importance there.
And so they really need to match these things up, whether the fuse and the wire matches in terms of amperage and voltage and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, almost any application you're going to find, whether it be a charger or an inverter, in the manual, it's going to specify the fuse size. And that fuse size will then tell you what size wire you're going to need depending on the distance.
Okay, that's helpful. And I see you also have a breaker here. You guys really recommend using these as well,
Yeah,
right?
anytime I can find an application for this over a fuse, we always try to use a breaker. Obviously, it's something if you're out in the middle of the lake or the ocean or wherever you happen to be at, you blow a fuse, you don't want to be trying to search for a fuse somewhere else or trying to find a marina that's got it. You fix the problem, you reset the breaker, everything's back to normal.
Okay, great. So now as someone's going to maybe install a wire or a group of wires in the hull of their boat, what are some tips or tricks that they need to be aware of to make that job a little bit easier?
Number one is just marking your wires. You want to make sure you're marking it at the beginning, at the end, places in between. That way you know exactly what that wire's purpose for is all the way through the boat itself. That wire may run the full length of the boat and it may only run a foot. But when you're chasing a wire the full length of the boat like that, it definitely makes it a lot easier to know exactly what the wire's purpose for without having to trace it down.
Yeah, absolutely. I see you have one labeled here, right?
That's right. Yeah. So this one here, we got labeled inverter right here. We know exactly that this is going to be the inverter feed wire right here.
And like you said, if you're labeling it there on the other end as well, sometimes in the middle, if it's a longer run,
Right.
that really helps out. When you're in these cramped spaces in the hull of the boat, you can't always see the entire wire. So being able to have those labels to refer to is going to make things a lot easier.
Right.
And I see we also have here some PVC pipes for installations through like bulkheads and metal walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
So we use these quite a bit if we're going through something like a bulkhead or pieces of metal or things like that. Number one, it's going to protect the wire as it passes through it, keep it from chafing. It's easy to go on one side of it, put this on the other side, screw it together tight, and then you'll be able to run your wire right through it. No chance of that wire getting chafed or rubbed against the metal, rub a hole in it and short something out.
Yeah, it's going to
blow in
avoid
the fuses, things like that.
Yeah, avoid problems down the road, definitely. And then also, as you're installing, these wires, another thing that's really going to help is to keep them organized. I'm sure you've seen some horror shows over the years of installations where wires are just going everywhere and it's a mess. You can't make any kind of sense of it. So what can somebody do to help to keep their electrical system organized and easy to understand?
Yeah, we just try to keep everything nice and neat, color-coded, again, labeled. We try to support it. We try to put the clamps on it to hold it up.
Like these here.
Zip tie holders to put it together. But the biggest thing is you want somebody who hasn't had a lot of experience with your specific system to walk up to it and easily be able to identify what the cables are going to do, what their purpose is, without having to spend all day long or a couple of days chasing these wires down.
Absolutely. And if you want to see some really good examples of that type of clean installation work, I definitely suggest you check out the Inverter Service Center's Instagram page, where they have a lot of examples of the installations that they've done over the years. One thing you'll find consistent is that clean, organized installation. Jordan, I really appreciate you joining me today. I think we've gotten a nice overview of boat wiring. If you've got any questions about the electrical system on your boat, you can call the experts at Marine Parts Source at the number below. You can also contact the Inverter Service Center. You can find either of us online at marinepartsource.com or inverterservicecenter.com. We appreciate you watching the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.